tragedy before their eyes. And it put them into shell shock. Chapter 23 talks about how the women looked at Jesus. And all the text said, what does it say in 23? It says, but all his acquaintances, including the women who had followed him from Galilee, stood at a distance watching these things. They watched how they mocked him. They watched how they put a sign over his head in 3 different languages saying, here's the King of the Jews. They watched the centurion pierce his side. They watched him. They watched them play dice for his clothes. They watched them mock him for hours and hours. And then he died. Shell shock. To the point where all they could do was watch. Have you ever gone through something so traumatic in your life? You couldn't cry, you couldn't shout, you couldn't yell, you couldn't do a thing. All you could do was stand in silence. Some of y'all have gone through some stuff that is nothing more than a family secret that you ain't never told nobody, and you have stood in silence. You're going through something right now. You're so shell-shocked that you're just there in silence. Probably thinking in the back of your mind, so what now? He promised that he would never leave me. He promised he would never forsake me. He promised to bless my household, to bless wherever I place my foot. What now? Going through troubling times right now, and sometimes the only thing you can say is, God, where are you? The longer we dwell on what we have witnessed, the more we subconsciously go back to some old ways. I don't want to hear about moving by the Spirit of God. I'm just going to do what I do. Now, some of y'all think I'm talking about bad habits and sinful actions. I'm not even talking about that. Churches regress because some folk get shell-shocked by life and they'll go back to religious habit rather than having intimate relationship with God. They stop talking to the Lord. They stop inquiring about his thoughts. They begin to slip away and not want to read the word. They begin to slip away and not show up to Sunday school and Bible study. They begin to slip away and stop associating themselves with people that love the Lord with all of their heart. They keep on rolling back to habits and not relationship. So these women, on the 3rd day, better known as the first day of the week, they get up and they are preoccupied with religious habit. How do I know? Because they could not prepare Jesus' body on the Sabbath. That was according to the law. So they had to wait. And then they went to the tomb. And they were preoccupied with how are we going to get in to the tomb. They know a stone was placed in front of the tomb, but they didn't have strength necessarily to move the stone and to get in the tomb. Y'all ready for this? They were so preoccupied with going through the motions that they forgot that Jesus already said he was going to make a comeback. Church, that's why we need to stop acting as if we've been having church and really get down to having show up church. Because every now and then we keep on going through the motions and we forget what God said to begin with. Jesus didn't say I was staying in the grave. He said I'm going to get back up. He said I told you I wasn't going to leave you, but there's some work for me yet to do, but I'm coming back. Some of you need to hear today that God promised you some stuff, and I know you're going through tragedy, trials, strife, and all that, but you need to wake up in here and hear God's voice again and be reminded that whatever he promised you, he's faithful to do it. They go to the tomb, worried about doing this action. But they get to the tomb. And their worries turn into other worries. Because number one, the stone was rolled away. And they walked and they said, hold up. What just happened here? But then, two messengers showed up. Some might paint the picture and say one was standing in the tomb and the other one was sitting on the rock. And they looked at them and they had some clothes that were so flashy that they couldn't stand it. They bowed their heads and then the messenger said, why are you doing that? Why are you looking for the living among the dead? He ain't here. Y'all ain't shouting off just a word. I shouldn't even need to get into the points. There's some shouting right there. Some of us have been hanging around in the graveyards of our existence way too long. The messenger is saying, why are you looking for the living among the dead? He ain't here because he's risen just like he said. And then here comes the word, remember? See, sometimes all you need to hear is the word remember. See, they understood that these women were going through a sleepwalking state. And he said, you got to come out of this thing. You were not supposed to be here. You were not supposed to come to the tomb. You were not supposed to try and prepare the body. You were supposed to wait in Galilee. But since you're here, remember he told you he was getting up. And the text says that after they got their mind back, they turned around and they went to tell everybody else. See, that's the good news of Resurrection Sunday. Sometimes we just got to have a gentle reminder that he said what he said, he's doing what he's doing, and it's time for you not to wait at the tomb to find him, but